Good evening, people, and welcome to our very first podcast, The Tech Within. I'm Nils, and tonight we'll be chatting to Kagiso. So, welcome to The Tech Within. This is our first podcast. Um, I think maybe tell
Wonderful.
people out there who you are and how long you've been in the industry and what exactly you do in the industry.
Okay, my name is Kagiso Moima Wamasemeni, pretty long name. And I run a company called Black Motion Production, which specializes in sound lighting, audiovisual staging, and broadcasting. So the company was registered in 2005, so we are 16 years old this year. And I when I got into the industry, I did lighting, and that was my main focus as a lighting designer. Started off at MJ Events Gear, went up to Evan Bruce Studios, which was pretty interesting for me because at MJ Events Gear, it was mostly corporate. Once I moved over to Evan Bruce Studios, it became predominantly television lighting. I moved over to France Max Films to do more of soap and drama lighting. And over the years, I realized that I needed to, maybe extend the business from lighting and add on other, you know, technology or rather specialty to the business. And I extended the business. We started doing sound, audio visuals, and we bought more staging. So that's pretty much who I am.
Okay.
And I guess, yeah, and there are many other things many other things have happened in the industry that has led me to take different positions purely from what has been happening, and especially now with COVID-19. As we speak, it's been 6 months since we've had any work or had, given or had an ability to do any type of work because there has been a burn by our government due to the Disaster Management Act, and there hasn't been any social gatherings, so there hasn't been any work for us.
Yeah, seeing that there's been no work, I believe you were involved with Feed the Crew.
Yes, Feed Our Crew. Very interesting how that started. Um, Immediately on the 15th already, I had started tweeting the minister, trying to find a solution on how best are we going to survive. First, as an industry. Secondly, how are the freelancers going to survive? Because one, they are not registered for UIF, so they are not catered for, and there is no means for them to make any income. So I started tweeting, and I got a call from Tenzin. And Tenzin and I, we're talking about and we're complaining. And towards the end of the call, we were like, yo, what are we going to do about it? And that's how Feeder Crew was formed. To date, we've managed to provide aid to more than 500, or we're now close to 700 people, and it has been very tough because obviously money started slowing down, and we are relying on donations. So however, we started off with giving away 1,000 rands food vouchers. And when the number increased, we had to scale that down to at least 500 rands food vouchers. And that's where freelancers can go to any Pick and Pay, it was mostly Pick and Pay, and get groceries for themselves and family.
And has any of government provided any assistance to Feed the Crew?
No. To date, we've written proposals, we've sent through communications to the department, nothing. And the last conversation I had with the minister on Twitter, he said he sympathizes with us as an industry. And I was basically telling him that my company is shutting down. 18 staff members will be retrenched, and about 26 freelancers that we use on a month-to-month basis will have no work. And he said, look, we sympathize with what is going on and what you are going through. We are waiting for the second phase, and hopefully the second phase will help our business. So nothing.
And speaking of business, the 50 packs people limit that they've placed on events, have you started up with any conferences, or is it still slow going?
It is slow going, and you'll note that. I mean, look at our interview; it's happening over Zoom, or however it's happening right now, and you'll realize that our social contact has become a thing of the past, and a lot of us in the industry are trying their virtual conferencing, and adhering to 50 people is not sustainable. I'll tell you why. It's not sustainable because not everyone has the technology. Secondly, not everyone has the money to buy the technology or the equipment. And again, to sustain it, you still need to employ people to work. How are we charging? Oh, internet connection. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, yeah. And the biggest thing now is, how do we make this sustainable? Because you find technical companies that solely specialize in sound, some are specializing in lighting, some in, very few companies have the ability to run, virtual conferencing with about 50 people and participating, purely because of how much it costs. So 50 people, it's good for a restaurant, maybe, but not for our industry. And we are calling for at least 70% capacity. And I've been to malls, and they will tell you, or there would be posters outside every shop to tell you that no mask, no entry, and they do sanitize you. Sometimes they take your details, and I saw about close to 2,000 people today at a mall, and yet we cannot host events. And their biggest excuse, or the government's biggest excuse, is how are you going to handle drunk people? I think it's such a lame excuse, because then it indicates that you do not understand our industry. Our industry, when we do conferences, you solely see alcohol there, or when there are gospel concerts. There's no alcohol there. There are other beverages, but they're non-alcoholic. And there are other sporting events that we do partake and participate in as an industry. And unfortunately, 50 people it's not sustainable for our industry. So we are back at square one.
So that brings us pretty much to the flight case movement. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Look, the flight case movement happened, or rather the idea came about when Light SA Red started the initiative in attempts to have a seat at the table and start talking to the government and indicating to them, or alerting them of the position our industry finds itself in. And when that happened, I then told the command council, call it the command council. So I told them that, I have an idea called Flat Case Movement, and I'd like to give you 2 weeks just to try and have a conversation with the government, and I would respect that, and I will not engage the government until you guys within that 2 weeks come up with some kind of answers that would assist us, assist our businesses. So 2 weeks later, that passed, and I was like, okay, fine, you know what? I'm going ahead with flat case movement. Now, flat case movement, our objectives, you know, one of the objectives is the reopening of the live events and technical sector within the COVID-19 guidelines. And I'm very happy to announce, and you know, in the industry, we know that there is a document that has been developed by the South African Events Council, which you know basically helps in mitigating the spread of COVID-19 and guidelines on how we can, you know, slowly open up the industry until we can get to full capacity. And again, the relaxation of the application of requirements of freelancers, because the government said, you know what, even uh, 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 um, freelancers can now apply to the government and there are requirements there. And we went through their requirements. We realized that none of our freelancers will be able to get any luck and any joy with the government with these type of requirements. And again, we're within our objectives, we want to be part of the negotiations, to be part of the decision making, because clearly the government doesn't understand what we are all about, because how they have positioned themselves, and or rather what they call a relief fund. It's not a relief fund for us, and the budget's really is way it's a drop in the ocean, you know. Initially they had 65 million. I mean, we all sent through our proposal. Most of the technical companies that I know, there hasn't been any luck and any joy. Now there's a second phase. Let's see what happens. But clearly, and the amount of corruption that happens in a government, really, you know, it's sad, because it's taking us back. I mean, the whole industry. I mean, companies are retrenching people, are retrenching technicians that have been in the industry for more than, you know, 15 to 20 years, you know. Um, so we also want the department to help us kickstart the industry. And banks are not coming on, you know, are not coming on board because they consider us high risk.
Yeah, I know the international concerts are limited pretty much to international travel being open, and we don't see that happening anytime soon. We might be lucky if it happens in November.
Might be very lucky, but you know, there are some rumblings that, you know, we may open our industry next year, February. I don't see a lot of us going back to work, because right now um, banks are putting so much pressure on us as an industry, because we've taken trucks, we've taken equipment through the banks, and now the banks, they're not considering us with the relief fund or even payment holiday.
Now, I know that you call for the flight case movement, I believe it's Tuesday morning. And then
Yes,
is it a march?
on
Is it a
Tuesday morning.
protest? What are we looking at?
It's a, it's look, we're looking at like one, we want to picket outside. We are going to picket outside the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. That's going to happen. You know, we've called for technical companies to provide empty flat cases. With that, we want to show, and as a symbol to everyone in South Africa, that our industry is never seen. And because we are backstage and behind the scenes, it doesn't mean that we do not exist and we do not require help or assistance. Or, you know, it's like we are not sitting at the door of the department saying to them, we want money. Can they let us go back to work? You know, we are self-sufficient sector as well. So we can go back. Yes, it's going to be tough, but you know, in the next 2 years and the next 5 years, we'll recover. So it's going to be a unity in strength, unity in pushing for the government to open the live events industry for us. So, yeah, look, I mean, I really don't understand the department modus operandi when it comes to the live events industry. We always have to knock to remind them we do exist. But I think it is also our fault as an industry because we've never really robustly engaged with the department uh, to make to bring them on board and to recognize us as an industry. And secondly, we have not done a thorough study in our industry to really quantify the value of the industry and what we're contributing to the GDP. So, I mean, without those numbers, without the numbers of the correct amount of numbers on freelancers and companies that do exist in the live events and technical production sector as well. I mean, that is squarely on us. We are working on it as well. However, we are still a big industry, and we need to be heard. And hopefully, on the 8th, the minister will really meet us at our needs and requests.
So when you talk about the live events industry, that doesn't only boast well for concerts and conferences, that also includes theatre productions. Is there any other events that would be included in that?
Look, yes, I mean it's the sports fraternity, it's the concerts, it's the theaters, um, festivals, nightclubs. What about the people who are selling tickets at box office when you go to watch a theater production? What about the cleaners? Because now, if the theaters and the venues are closed, they have nowhere to work. What about the bouncers? What about the musicians that we put up the stages for or the performance platform for? Because those are the people who we work with on a daily basis. So, and what about the transport you know, our industry cuts across the department or tourism and transportation as well. Because if you bring an artist from overseas, they fly into South Africa, you have to provide ground transportation as well. You have to provide accommodation for them. You have to take them to restaurants or provide food for them. And you have to provide bodyguards for them as well too. So, I mean, it cuts across many industries, and it does, the live events industry, I mean, affects a whole range of people in, you know, it affects a whole lot of people. And it's a shame that, you know, we have to fight for our rights, because I believe that this is a total human violation. Human rights violation.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that you would say that, because, like you say, I don't think anybody has made the effort of, or I won't say the effort, but there's very little actually known about the industry. Everybody thinks an artist just performs, but nobody thinks about what happens in the background.
Only now we want to work together as black and white and all shapes and size. Now the little guy is making so much noise, and now he's heard, you know. So, you know, unity in the industry is very paramount, and we need to continue, and we need to somehow have watchdogs in our industry. We need an association that really represent each and every person. We need to have a talk, a serious talk as an industry. Because now government is like, oh no, you guys are not formalized as well. And without some kind of a strong unity that comes to the table with numbers, like we contributing, for instance, 23 billion to the GDP of the country, and this is the amount of employment that we provide, and here the sectors that we do provide workforce for, So without that, yes, COVID-19 really exposed us as well as an industry, that we are not united, we are not formalized, we do not work together, we have not standardized the industry. I see my battery is going down. Let me just plug on the thingy quickly. Sorry about that.
No problem. So tell us more about the flight case movement. If people want to get involved, where do they need to go? When do they need to go?
So I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can.
The flight case movement will happen on the 8th of September. We are all meeting at Paul Kruger Square at 9 o'clock. And we will offload trucks from 9 o'clock, and I don't know if you've seen the We Make events in Times Square, and we'll place flat cases across the Paul Kruger Square, and we'll stand behind flat cases, and we'll stand in solidarity with each and everyone who has been economically affected in our industry. And from there, we'll select 50 people because of the Disaster Management Act. We'll select 50 people who will go and picket outside the Department of Sports and Arts and Culture. And we have sent an email to their DG that we would request a meeting and would like to sit down with the minister and present our grievances, and hopefully we'll get some kind of we'll come up with a bit of we'll come up with a solution. And from there, if nothing happens really and we don't get any concrete answers, we don't want to have long conversations about processes. It's been 6 months. We are done with processes. We are done with deliberations. You need to set a budget. You need to tell us when you are opening the events, and you need to find the money as a stimulus package for the industry to go back and if that doesn't happen in 48 hours, we are taking it to the union building, and we will involve artists, and there will be other artists, visual artists, musicians, and so forth, who will then come and join us, and we'll block roads. We'll block roads. Then we'll cause chaos. Isn't that better? Because these kind of conversations that people have with government, I don't know. For me, I just find that, it's just delayed tactics. Otherwise, Niels, we'll find ourselves in 2021 without work, like literally destitute.
Yeah, I know there's many companies,
and we need clear answers.
Yeah, I know there's many companies that might not survive the next month or so. Many of their staff has been placed on furlough.
Yeah, and then what was the story about TERS? TERS has been suspended due to corruption and maladministration.
Well, TERS is only for the employed people. As you say, you support 700 people via the Feed Our Crew. And there's the more realistic figure is about 45,000 freelancers.
Yeah. Then we're not even reaching 10% of that, are we? We're not. So it is quite imperative that every South African that has been affected to come on Tuesday to stand with us, and you need to make your voice heard. To take a stand. Take a stand against the government. Doesn't matter, if they want to use force, let them use force. If companies are dying and some people are going to be homeless, some people will be destitute.
So if people want more information, where would they go?
So anyone who would like to come and join us, please go to Facebook page. We have a page called Flat Case Movement. On Twitter, we are Flat Case Movement as well. On Instagram, we Flat Case Movement. So join us, please join us. You know, don't tweet. You know, don't be I call them the chair warriors. With their phones. Come on the day. Be the forces on the ground. Let the world see you. Let the world see that you know you are unemployed. There is no. I mean, you don't have a salary. I mean, as a family, as a man, how's that affecting you? As a woman, how's that affecting you? I mean, you know, like this COVID, this lockdown and the inability for us to provide our families is affecting our mental illnesses too. And we still need to talk about how are we going to recover. It's been 6 months. One company has lost 140 million rands in our industry. Over 200 people would be retrenched very soon. You'll hear about it. DWR, Duncan Riley's company, has retrenched. There was a media statement. He's retrenched 24 staff members. Where are they supposed to go work now? We know that South Africa is struggling to create jobs, and we were creating jobs for ourselves as an industry. Now you want to take that away from us too? No. So please, South Africans, technical companies, freelancers, technicians, box office admin, cleaners, bouncers, nightclub owners, venue owners, on the 8th of September, come through. Let's stand together. Let's show the world, let's show the government that through our unity, we are able to shake things. And we make, we were the ones behind the 2010 Soccer World Cup, the opening and closing. We were the stars then. And I wonder if they actually know that there were people who were making there were crews behind lighting, the sound, the audio visual, and so forth. Global citizens as well. The pride and joy of our South African major events. When the world doubts us that we can pull off 2010, we were able to spend sleepless nights, with millions and millions worth of equipment that the banks now want to take away from us. The trucks that you saw or you see that are branded, those are the trucks that now the banks want to take because we are unable to pay and they consider us high risk. So I'm calling to every South African, if you call yourself as a patriotic South African who is in the live events and technical production sector, be seen, be heard, fight for your right, be there on the day. Talk to the forces that the government may try to bring on you. Tell them what you are going through. That is the call, Flat Case Movement.
And what is your plan for the social distancing and PPE for on the day?
So please bring your mask. We will provide a sanitizer. We will place all flat cases that are there 1.5 to 2 meters apart, right? We'll line them up properly. There will be proper social distancing. Not what you see on malls, not what you see on restaurants no, this would be a literal 1.5 meter gap. We will measure it. We have measuring tapes. We carry measuring tapes. We'll place every flat case 1.5 meters away from the next guy who's gonna push a flat case. So and please wear black, all black. If you have a helmet, bring your helmet. If you wanna come in your safety shoes, you are more than welcome. And also, I think that's just about it, and make sure your phone is fully charged. If you have backup battery, bring everything, because we want the world to see us on the day. We want the world to see us trend on Twitter, on Facebook. And we are non-violent. We are not bringing Leatherman. We are not bringing anything that you know can be considered a weapon. We will be there marching or picketing in peace. Police, don't come there expecting to provoke us, or don't come there to provoke us and expecting us to retaliate. We know what they did to the Vula president guys in Durban, you know. So we don't want to be shot with your rubber bullets. We know that the police are trigger happy, but hey, we are not coming to fight. We are coming to stand for what we believe in, for our rights that are being violated currently.
And if you should be met with force, what is the plan of action?
Look, the industry as a whole, the similar thing that happened with the Vula president. Flat case movement contributed to the bail money, and many more people contributed to the bail money for the 35 guys that were arrested. So if anyone gets arrested, as an industry, we have to contribute together. And if 10 of us are arrested, 10 of us needs to be bailed out. Not one person, but 10 of us need to be. If they arrest 40 of us, we need to come through. We need to still stand together as an industry and contribute to the bail and contribute. And I mean, we have lawyers on standby to assist us if any of our members on the day is arrested.
Yeah, I think that sums it up for this podcast. Unless you've still got anything else you want to mention.
Yeah, so I think one last thing. I would like to implore the industry to consider unity as the substratum of the live events and technical production.
I think that's a fair request.
Yeah, so I hope to see you on Tuesday. I hope to see you there.
Well, unfortunately, I'm in Cape Town, so I don't know if you've got any events planned for Cape Town.
Yeah, look, I mean, we tried to reach out to Cape Town and Durban. Nothing much has happened, but hey, things may change. So it's Sunday today, tomorrow's Monday, maybe something may come through and the call will be bigger, will be louder, more musicians, the South African Arts and Heritage Forum is coming on board. Musicians are coming on board. So maybe we may just move together in unison in Cape Town.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
This is the time that the industry should be standing together.
Mm-hmm. To speak in one voice.
So Kagiso, thank you for joining us this evening.
No, thank you very much. And yeah, I know it's been going up and down. We've been going up and down, but I'm happy that, you know, I got to meet you and we got to talk about the industry and who we are and what we stand for. And maybe lastly, I know that I would like us to write history and leave a better legacy for those who want to be in our industry in the next 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
so thank you very much. There you have it, folks. We chatted to Kagiso about the flight case movement. Stay tuned on our Facebook page for the next upload of our next podcast. And remember, keep on teching.